good. All right. If you guys don't know me, I'm Stephen Roche. I'm the creator and the administrator of the Village of Waterloo, New York community Facebook group. I created the group in response to the village government's lack of transparency and lack of communication with its constituents. It serves as a forum for community discussions and a place to promote local business and events happening around the village. A special thanks to Chuck Hinkle for allowing me to use the laundromat to host this event. All right, number one. Introduce yourself and what position are you seeking? Go ahead, Patty.
Patricia Bartran, and I'm running for village trustee at this time.
I'm Walter Bennett. I'm running for mayor.
And what motivated you to seek public office?
Myself, it was the taxes that we're paying in the village of Waterloo because we are fourth highest in the village of Waterloo. The water and sewer rates, they need to be reevaluated as other towns and villages are paying less than we pay. So we need to look at that. And communication is the biggest problem within this village. We need to communicate more with our residents. Our residents need to know we are open to anything that they need to discuss.
My motivation, if I could be completely transparent, I wasn't at first. I was actually, so I guess you could say taxes. I was on my way out. I was probably heading to a neighboring township within the school district. Caught word that there was an election coming up and we needed a candidate. So just being curious piqued my interest. Learned a lot since then and became passionate about a few different topics since then. So originally not all energetic about it. Now I think we can make some reasonable change.
All right, Patty, you touched on this. So village taxes have gone out of control. Per the New York State Comptroller's Office, the Village of Waterloo is the fourth highest tax village in all of New York State. What will you do to hold the line on taxes and bring that tax rate down?
Continue to go with the New York State 2% hold. We cannot go above that 2%. And right now, we are capped at the 2% level. And if we get in, we will continue at that 2%.
I think it'll take a reimagining about what the village government does. It's right now I think we do a very good job of going around asking our departments what they need, and then we try to find them the money. I think we need to, when we need to make a budget that is within the tax cap or reducing taxes, right now we go to personnel or benefits when we want to make cuts. I think we can think of other ways. We need to start thinking of other ways. Those are the easy ways. Let's do it another way. Let's not run full people and harm them. Let's find other ways. I think it's just going to take work, different solutions to different problems. That'll be the way I would approach it. But just fresh eyes.
Patty, you touched on this too. Water and sewer is quite expensive out here. What are some things you plan to do to possibly bring down the cost of the water and sewer?
I would like to take and see a water district developed. Also going to each township that we sell water to, find out what they pay as far as water rates, sewer rates, compared to what we pay, and increase it. Increase their waters a little bit more to take the burden off in our community for their water.
Yeah, very similar. Water sewer district is something that's been top of mind. Recently talked with some good conservatives who have concerns about centralizing authority like that, taking our small little labs about how we do things and making it one big conglomeration. So that is an interesting take on it. At the very least, off the get-go, we need to take a look at these contracts, like Patty said. Who knows what they are? We're new to this. We're fresh look at it. Maybe we're selling it at cost, and then we're putting all maintenance and updates on us. I don't know that. But these contracts, we do know the neighboring townships are making money on our water, and that needs to be something that we can benefit from instead of them. We are the ones providing their water after all. So.
And public safety is important. The village PD has struggled with staffing and coverage. How do you plan to address this?
There again, we need to look at the budget and hope that we can find more revenue for them to increase their police officers. The availability of the police officers, try to get them to come to our village to work. That's where we're having a problem, the recruitment. And also we need to look at, can we have our chief of police out there on the streets, even either patrol, just walking the streets, give the community a little bit of safety, knowing that we have the patrol out there.
Yeah, I don't know if anyone listened to the debate with Gina and I on Finger Lakes Radio Group. Her take on this was I brought up as a top priority. Make sure all shifts are covered by, I believe, the police force would like 2 people per shift. And I had said, I would like to get the 1 to 2 officers that we need and make sure all shifts are covered and stuff like that. And the rebuttal to that was that things are going pretty well there. All shifts are covered and the police chief does fill in. That's all true, fine. Very, very good. But they do have been requesting 1 to 2 more officers. Getting those officers and retaining those officers is something we've got to do. And personally, I think making the Village of Waterloo a place that you want to be, that you feel safe as an officer, welcome as an officer, well known by everybody, is going to go a long way. I am interested in the data behind the police force. What are they doing all the time? Those sort of things, and just see if we can move things around, rethink this whole thing. And just having 2 guys riding around in cars all the time, maybe there's better uses for them. And just bring another outside perspective on this whole thing. According to Gina, which beautiful, you can thank her for this and give her your vote if you think it's all going well. That everything is going well with that department. But I would like to see if we can move people around, because it's been a common theme among people we've talked to that they want to see more presence and feel safer and see more coverage and all that. Whether it was a bad communication, let's fix that. Or there is places that we need to move people around. So this is one that I think we need to grow on our information on. We're told 2 different things by the administration and by the people who are out on the streets. So we'll tackle that. But yeah, everybody I think agrees we need 1 or 2 more people, and how we do that I don't think we can match money. So we're going to have to find other ways to do that, and that's going to have to be through making Waterloo the place to be.
Oh, this guy, what's going on, buddy? How you been, man?
Let's see, now the fire department, the village fire department has lost all its coverage contracts with neighboring municipalities. It's in need of modern equipment. How do you plan to address this?
Waterloo Fire Department, we need to get a hold of our town of Waterloo, our town of Fayette, try to get the contracts renegotiated to bring that revenue back in for our fire department, and also look at the fact of possibly a fire district where all the fire departments can come together as one. And they do need equipment, they need fire trucks. We need to address those issues.
Yeah, this is another one that was rebutted during our debate. I'm high on the fire district, fire protection district. You have to say it the correct way for it to mean the same thing. Mostly because the firemen, I think, are asking for it, and I don't think anyone would ever say that they're at this for any wrong reasons. I think they have an admirable commitment to that job, and so if that's what they believe is the right way, then I'm with them on that. I've been told by some firemen high up in that organization that they can run their budget at a much different rate than we were offering and stuff like that, and save for the next truck. So we're obviously doing some waste here with our fire thing. So let's get that straightened out. Don't know if this is going to win me votes at all, but Seneca Meadows wants to give us a green truck with their name all over it. I'm all for it. It's a $1 million truck. We are going to have to find a way to get, and I'm going to go around to whoever wants to help with that. If it looks like a NASCAR, it looks like a NASCAR.
And downtown is looking pretty bare. At least it's a lot more bare than when I moved here. I remember when I moved here in 2012. I actually came out here for the affordability, which unfortunately no longer exists. My taxes almost doubled. I remember I went store to store, and there's a lot of stores down there, and I was just exploring the town because I'd only been here maybe once before in my life. I was brand new to town, and it's looking pretty bare right now. And several ventures have failed. They've come and they didn't work out for whatever reason. How can we fill these storefronts and support these businesses?
We need to take and get a business association going, where the businesses can all come together, see where the faults are. What do we need to bring these businesses in? Do we need lower water rates? Do we need the sewer rates to go down? The tax rates to go down for the businesses in order to survive downtown? That's what I want to do.
Yeah, I'm going to start with Patty's mention of the business association. That's usually something that business leaders take amongst themselves. I don't think it's for the village really usually to initiate, but we're the right people to initiate those relationships. We know all these players and we can get them all together. So yeah, business association needed, and it would be on us to facilitate those relationships. We have more or less a few people own a lot of the buildings. Some doing a lot of work, some doing a lot of movement forward, some not. Don't know what the village can do to get those guys going, but it is, we largely as a village, it's hard to say that it's on us to do those things other than make it welcoming with lower rates for things. However, we've done low rates and we've gone out and got grant money, which kind of means we have to pick the winners here. And I don't think we've done such a great job. We picked some people to get grant money, to get payment in lieu of taxes, and then they fail. So we got to really vet these people, and I think that's largely the village's biggest role in this thing.
And village employee payroll, it's a major expense. What do you plan to look into, or, sorry, do you plan to look into the village positions and analyze each one to ensure that the position is efficiently serving its purpose?
Yes, you need to go line by line, look at how much overtime is used in these village positions. You need to know, are they actually working their 40 hours that they're supposed to be working? Take that from that point. But you need to go line by line to look at that point.
Village payroll, not something I gave a whole lot of thought to, but coming from the corporate world, business world, if we got to be a little bit austerity and ask people to do more, I'm not above that. It may be that someone's working a little bit harder, or maybe overtime's actually cheaper than a whole new contract. We got to get somebody to do a little bit more work here or there. It'll be more through attrition. You know, maybe we won't hire the 2 people to do this one job and ask someone to be a little more efficient with the time. I haven't really given it a lot of thought. This stuff interests me. I will look into it all. Waste, fraud, and abuse will be stamped out, but I don't think we're going to just be cutting people's pay or anything like that. It would just be a mean thing to do right off the bat. But we can stamp out waste, fraud, and abuse, and maybe just be a little more efficient with the roles we fill, I think.
All right, this one's really interesting to me. The village administrator position is a position some villages do not have. Our village administrator is well compensated. Would it make more sense for the mayor and the trustees to absorb those responsibilities of the administrator?
It's a very tough question.
Isn't it?
And I would look and see what our administrator is doing on his job. Stay very close to him or her, to him, and see what are you actually doing and how are you addressing the people of the community. Are you taking seriously the community as you work as our village clerk, our village minister?
If I hadn't thought about getting rid of it, I think a full-time role is nice because everyone in the administration, or the board and the mayor, is part-time. There's a lot of communication, a lot of 9 to 5 communication with the people who write the grants and stuff like that. But yeah, if you're gonna make twice the median income in this town, then you better be putting in 40+ hours and going above and beyond. That's probably the sticking point. That's the point that makes people unhappy with that position. I think more than anything is it's essentially rich because it's tough, and you better be getting our money's worth out of it. But I think a full-time role at the very least is probably necessary. The mayor and the trustees are part-time positions. If it was 5 retired people, maybe they could absorb it. But we're looking at hopefully not 5 retired people. So.
Definitely. So just to piggyback off that, so that's an appointed position. How would you feel about making that an elected position? Because that person does hold a lot of power for an appointed person.
I feel that the administrator is under our guard. We should be listening to what our needs are because we are listening to the people of their needs. That is my decision. The people of this village need to know you are there to stand by them and to get their communication to us also.
I'm not 100% sold that it matters because they should essentially be doing the trustees bidding and the mayor, right? Well, I mean, so it would be the mayor, and hopefully with the advising of the trustees to who that guy, who that person is gonna be that will get that done. An elected position is an interesting idea, but one that I'm not sure it makes the difference we think it'll make. Because then when you make an elected position, it's selective service and all that stuff after that, or civil service, right? So yeah, interesting question, because I haven't given it any thought whatsoever. But it is, the people who are elected need to trust that person, and if they're not, then you've elected the wrong people. You know, if they're just being nice and letting them stay on, stuff like that. But yeah, that's interesting. I don't know that it matters in my opinion. And if you feel strongly that it does, I apologize. But I think you've elected people who will then push that person to do the right thing, and if they're not, then change who you elected for trustee and mayor.
And I would also like to say, I feel that the administrator or any department head should live in the village of Waterloo. We are paying them through our community taxes, our village taxes. They should live in our community.
Well, exactly, because the decisions they're making or things they're putting forth aren't going to affect them if they don't live in the village of Waterloo. You know, that makes perfect sense. And then I've been shooting questions at you, but I'm going to give you a little more control on this one. So what are your top priorities if you're elected?
My top priority is, again, as I've been saying, the communication of this community. That is down, you know, people are down, depressed. They want their voices heard, and they're not being heard. Where if they make a complaint, they want to know what happened to that complaint. The roads need to be tidied up some. Infrastructure needs to be surveyed. Find out where our weakest points are. And the biggest thing is the police department and the fire department for protection. To look into that. To look into the water districts, the fire protection districts, and go from that point.
Yeah, the next group of trustees and mayor have about 28 days to get the budget done, so that is the first thing. I was actually saying if we were to win, I think I would ask the trustees to revisit this whole when the budget is done versus when the elections are done, because that's nothing, very likely nothing is going to change this year. Going forward, it's a lot of the same. I think we need to see the fire district done. I firmly believe that they can budget this better than we are doing. And then, full audit water sewer, whether that's something we do going forward already, I don't know. I know we do have a water sewer videographer that goes down and checks things. I would like to see if there's a map on a wall somewhere of what everything looks like. We're putting switches in and enhancements on sewage so that we can send it who knows where. Let's make sure that they're helping pay for that stuff. Police force, obviously we got to get those two in there. I think we keep getting them and keep losing them just as fast. I'd like to talk to the current officers and see if any sort of exit. I don't know if formal exit interviews were done, but maybe they know what's going on and why we're losing them. That's the real meat. There's other pet projects and audits and data that I'm going to dig into that's going to be interesting to me. And we'll see if something pops up. It'll be fun. I am not as high on the county sharing the tax money as everyone else is. I feel like it's taking money out of one hand, give the other. We're all citizens of this county, and they're just going to raise those taxes to make up the $2 million they give us. So our rural neighbors will help fund the village a little bit, but that's about it. So that is not as high a priority for me. But ultimately, the trustees vote on that stuff. I could just try to help drive the conversation.
All right, and the last question I got, please feel free to bring up anything that we haven't discussed if you want to talk about.
Our taxes and the communication, water and sewer.
Yeah, I think we hit on the stuff that we're hearing when we go out and talk to people. It's going to be a learning experience. Largely, I don't know if you guys have read any of the interviews that were done on the Finger Lakes Times, the debate that was done on Finger Lakes Radio Group. I think you'll gather from the whole thing that things are going well, and if you agree with that, thank Gina and give her the vote, and Lee, and give them the vote. If you want a completely new vision of the way things are gonna go, then vote in the three new people on the Republican line. Like I said, I have pet projects I'd like to look into. I know of municipalities that have a substation from NYSEG like we do, and they receive free electricity. I'm interested in what that contract looks like. So I would like to go back in the archives and find out what that looks like. Stuff like that, very interesting to me. Oh, lastly, relationships with Waterloo and Fayette and the county. I don't know that they're as rosy as they should be. I know a lot of those people. I think that we could get that back on the right track. Unless you hear otherwise that things aren't good, or you know any of those board members. But I think I could work very, very well with them and get some of this stuff done.
Definitely. Well, I thank you both for meeting with me. I did offer this same opportunity to all the Democrats running, and none of them wanted to sit down with the citizens of the village and answer some questions, but I'm glad you two were willing to do that. It means a lot to me. And voting is this Tuesday, noon to 9 p.m. at the community center. I'm right down by Oak Island.
Please come out and vote for the team.
Thank you.
Thank you, guys.